Janessa, why don't we get started? We're 3 minutes after.
Okay, all right. Well, hello everyone. Just want to say welcome to our virtual information session today on the upcoming Jersey Avenue construction and planned traffic mitigation efforts. So just a few housekeeping items to note before we get started. This meeting will be recorded. The chat function has been disabled for this meeting, but for any questions or comments, please add them to the Q&A function at the bottom of your toolbar. To check or change any of your audio settings, please click the up arrow that you see here next to the audio setting function. And lastly, we will be holding all questions until the end of the presentation. And now I will pass it over to Kim McAvoy from the New Jersey Department of Planning.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. As Janessa said, my name is Kim McAvoy. I'm the Bureau Chief for the New Jersey DEP's Bureau of Flood Engineering and Climate Resilience Design. I am part of the New Jersey DEP Rebuild by Design Hudson River Project team that are online tonight. And we have been working on this project since 2013, so over 10 years ago. Some of you may know or may have experienced this, but we're here tonight to talk about this project because of Superstorm Sandy. This area was hit hard in 2012 by almost an 11.5-foot storm surge. Some of you were lucky enough not to experience that flooding. Others have. As you see on this slide, this is the photo of Jersey Avenue in the area that we are proposing to do the work and the subject of this presentation. You will see that the water line in this area is maybe a foot deep, and this is when the water was receding. This area was covered by about 5 feet of water at the height of the storm surge. So that's really why I just wanted to remind everyone really why we're here tonight and the purpose of tonight's discussion. The purpose of this project is really to protect Hoboken and the adjoining areas from flooding from the next surge event. This project team that will be presenting tonight and answering questions have been working along with the mayor, the city council, local partners, since 2013, 2014. We've had 100+ meetings with the community over the last 10 years. And I do think it's an important reminder that why this project is necessary to protect your community, to protect this community against storms like Sandy. The wall gate system of this resist structure, once it's installed, will protect about 85% of the population of Hoboken, the city hospital, and 3 additional firehouses. The system will allow for New Jersey Transit to be more resilient and resume operations sooner after a storm. But as we know, construction of this project is not easy and will not be convenient. Tonight, our team, along with the city, will provide background on the project, but specifically talk about the closure planning on Jersey Avenue. Jersey Avenue construction is an integral part of this project, of this resist alignment. We know Jersey Avenue is a main thoroughfare for Hoboken, and any closure along Jersey Avenue is a huge impact on traffic for the town. We are committed to working with you and communicating these planned closures, trying to shorten these closures any way we can to make this tolerable for your community. But again, we understand this is not going to be easy, but it is needed. As part of kind of the process of actually getting through a project that will protect the community, we had to go through feasibility, we had to go through environmental impact studies and design, and all through those meetings, we knew that this project would be disruptive to the community during construction. Traffic was identified as a major impact, and it will be inconvenient and frustrating during some times. But we did agree upon the alignment and identified that a closure on Jersey Avenue would be necessary during this process. We are here to communicate about this work and about the closure, but also to listen to your concerns. Next slide, please. Tonight, we're going to talk about, as I mentioned, the project history of the Rebuild by Design Hudson River project. We'll go over the southern work zones, specifically Jersey Avenue construction work, why it's needed, the area that we'll be looking at constructing within, the traffic mitigation and strategies that will be implemented along 18th Street, Grove Street, Newark, and Patterson Avenue. And then the monitoring, maintenance, and traffic predictions that were done for this project. And lastly, communications, open line of communications and ways to communicate with the team and the city. So at this time, I'd like to hand off the presentation to Chris Corliss of Berger Hill Joint Venture. He is part of, Berger Hill is part of the DEP's construction management firm, and he helps oversee the construction on behalf of the state and the DEP. Thanks. Thank you all.
Thanks, Kim. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Corliss, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about a couple of different things. So on this, so I want to first give a brief overview of the project, and then I'm going to focus on the southern work zones and their timelines, and then move over to the Jersey Ave construction. And as Kim had mentioned before, I just want to reiterate that the goal of this project is to make this area more resilient against storm surges. Sorry about that. So this project is a part of a larger plan to reduce flood risks from both coastal and stormwater drainage. The strategy being used is a resist, delay, store, discharge, developed during the Rebuild by Design competition and refined through the feasibility and environmental impact studies. Our focus here is on the resist part, which aims to protect against coastal storms. The other parts, delay, store, discharge, deal with stormwater management and urban infrastructure, similar to the Northwest Resilience Park. Next slide. So we are installing a flood wall with floodgates and integrating a resiliency park along with other urban amenities. The project is already underway and is going to continue through the summer of 2027. The work zones are divided into two different areas, a northern and southern alignment, covering the areas in Hoboken, Weehawken, and Jersey City. In northern Hoboken and southern Weehawken, we're on 13th Street and Washington Street over to Lincoln Harbor Road. And then on the southern Hoboken and northern Jersey City, we're on Hoboken Ave, Cole Street to Newark Street and Washington Street. So as a little bit of a background, the project has been defined by the original competition proposal, which includes parts of Jersey City, Weehawken, and the entirety of Hoboken. And as shown in the bottom right, the breach points when Superstorm Sandy floodwaters from the Hudson River entered the project area, you can see where they're shown by the arrows. And the flooding entered through New Jersey Transit Yard and the Cove at Harborside Park. Then the floods went into the lower lying areas. So to stop the floodwaters throughout the area, a resist alignment is being constructed. And that resist alignment is shown in magenta in the larger image. And that is developed to prevent the flooding to going into the backside of Hoboken and the rest of the project area. So what is the timeline? So going back, Kim had mentioned this earlier, but this has started back in the summer of 2013 when the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development launched the Rebuild by Design competition. And then we went through the feasibility study, the environmental impact statement. Those were completed in 2015, from 2015 to 2017, with the design of the design that followed it. The sewer separation modification contract was the first phase of the rebuild by design project. And that was started in January of 20, the construction started in January of 21 and was completed in July of 22. And now we're in the final stages of this project with the construction of the resist structure, which will be completed in the summer of 27. So as I mentioned before, construction is ongoing and has started. So now as the focus of tonight's discussion is particularly with Jersey Ave and the southern work zones, I'm going to walk through a general timeline of the ongoing construction. So working from left to right on Marin Street, work has commenced and is expected to continue along the side of the road through this summer. And then the work across Marin is planned for the fall of this year and then going through the end of this year. Now, meanwhile, work has been proceeding along New Jersey Transit Rail Yard and will continue through the end of 2025. The contractor will be moving into Observer Highway and working along the side of that, which is right along the New Jersey Transit engine house. And also currently working on Washington Street, which will occur into to this fall. Last, just want to touch on over in Jersey City on 18th Street. That work is ongoing and is anticipated to continue to the fall of 2025. So now transitioning over to Jersey Ave, this work has also been ongoing. And the structure on the east side of Jersey Ave, or on the right side of Jersey Ave, that structure has already been constructed. And the area to the west side of Jersey Ave is currently underway. Overall, work in this general area will continue to the summer of 26. Also, contractor will be anticipating working on Grove Street in the spring of 26 through the fall of 26. I do want to note, though, at no time will there be 2 of the 3 roads closed, Marin, Grove, and Jersey Ave. So even though we're having these timelines in, we're not going to be in a situation where 2 of the roads are closed. So for example, if work is still ongoing in Jersey Ave, the work on Marin or Grove would not occur or be delayed until the one area would be complete. So now I'd like to focus on what the next phase of work is in Jersey Ave that'll be occurring in the next 3 months. So Jersey Ave will inevitably need to be closed to construct the foundation and the rails for the flood barrier gate, as well as other ancillary work that's impacted because of this project. This closure is necessary to provide the safety of both the workers and the public while construction is undertaken. The next phase of work will include test pitting related to utilities, which will inform the subsequent phase of work to improve the current water system and create greater water security for the area. In addition, this phase will include piles for the resist structure, and the piles are the subsurface piles for the foundation, as well as other storm and sewer work. We do recognize that closure of the closure of the road will create impacts, and extension of work hours will occur at varying times, as well as multi-shift construction crews in an effort to try and reduce the road closure time. Regarding the road closure, the initial full closure is expected to last approximately 1 month. It is the intention of the project to then provide 1 lane of southbound traffic after that initial month during the remaining 2 months of work to be performed. We're working diligently to complete this phase of work and will provide updates on the expected reopening date. I do want to circle back to the test pits that I mentioned earlier. Once we obtain the test pit information and finalize the materials for the subsequent phase work, the DEP will re-engage with the community. With that, I'd now like to ask Caleb to come on.
Thanks, Chris. I think it's really important for me to introduce myself. My name is Caleb Stratton. I'm the Chief Resilience Officer for the City of Hoboken, and I'm also an Assistant Business Administrator with the city. If you've attended these presentations before, I've been working on this project for about 12 or 13 years. I'm very familiar with the scope of work, as well as the challenges that our community experiences on a day-to-day basis. I need to acknowledge on the call right now, we have Councilman Ramos, Councilman Cohen, Councilwoman Jabor, Councilman Presenzano. We've been before them in closed session discussing these issues. We've gotten tremendous pushback from our council members to do better, to do more, to take resident feedback more into consideration. And for that reason, we're having this meeting, but I also have our Director of Transportation, Steve Weber, on this call, as well as Greg Francis, who is our Supervising Transportation Planner with the city. They're acutely aware of the circulation issues that this project will create in Southwest Hoboken. And for that reason, we engaged with a third party to develop mitigation strategies, acknowledging that these are day-to-day, minute-to-minute, AM, PM peak issues that affect our community. And we are trying to take a very resident-focused approach at improving what we expect to be a challenging circumstance for a longer duration period of time. The way I just would describe it is I think that our community has construction fatigue. We just went through it with the PAS station. And I think that what I'm going to describe is that we have tried to look through and propose every possible alternative to reduce the friction that this project causes. And in the cases where we can't reduce that friction, we want to maintain open lines of communication with the community and try to work through the different issues that we have to confront. So, Chris, if you want to go to the next phase, I'm going to describe some of these mitigation strategies. We looked at the network in Southwest Hoboken. We studied the signal timing. We extended it past our municipal boundaries to go into Jersey City up on the hill on 18th Street. We have been meeting on a bi-weekly basis with Jersey City and Jersey City MUA, working through the logistics of implementing circulation network changes across two communities and in an area that is already constrained in its circulation network. I will say that the expense that the city and is being paid for by NJDEP was not an original part of this project's scope. We have pushed DEP to include things that cost real money to the project, whether it's signal timing changes or striping changes. We want to improve the circulation network during this, the duration of this closure. Can you go to the next slide, Chris? Part of that is doing work in Jersey City. We've signed off from our Jersey City's planning department, adding an additional turning lane on 18th Street to get into Hoboken, modifying traffic signals in Jersey City on Grove and on Marin. And you can go to the next slide. On Grove Street, actually restriping the network between Hoboken and Jersey City, removing parking on both sides, going from 2 travel lanes to 4 travel lanes. What that does is add stacking capacity for people trying to get into or out of the city. And we're going to be changing those traffic signals at both 18th Street and the intersection of Newark. That's not the only thing that we're doing in this area. We are also going to have HPD and JCPD on site for the duration of construction activity. There will be a much stronger presence in the beginning of the closure. And as we are able to see how the network works with the changes, we may modify police presence, but we're going to do the striping changes plus police presence. So we're able to monitor what's going on in real time. Next slide, please. And on Newark Street, because of the closure at Jersey Ave, we're proposing different, I'm not going to go through all the notes on here, but there's many different changes that we're going to make from both striping, lane, turning movements, to try and increase the flow of traffic out of Hoboken, in some cases into Hoboken, depending on what we're able to change in the travel lanes. And that includes eliminating some of the things that are in place, but also changing some of the signal timing that's existing. Next slide, please. And so this is another example of what we're working through on Patterson and Harrison, revising intersection markings. And that's order to prevent backup into other intersections in the city. We're aware that this is a change in the circulation network in Southwest, but I think that a lot of people that are tuning in are maybe 1 or 2 blocks away from here, or 3 or 4 blocks away from here. So we have an awareness that this is a neighborhood-wide impact, and we are going to be doing our best to track that, monitor, and in some cases change signal timing in real time as necessary. Next slide, please. One of the new tools that we're going to be using is a monitoring software. So it's actually software and cameras to go through live, and as we go through this project, historic data, because when we do signal timing changes, it's based on existing levels of service, existing traffic flow. As those change, when the circulation network changes, we need to collect real-time data so that we can improve on levels of service at the intersection and make sure that number one, the recommendations that we're going to make and implement are working. And then if there's an opportunity to improve those recommendations, we want to use a data-informed approach to make those changes in this neighborhood. Next slide, please. So I just talked about the Mayo vision cameras. We're going to also stand up an engineering support team with Michael Baker International that has made some of the recommendations. They're going to be reviewing the data, advising the city, advising the NJDEP. We are going to have a community construction liaison. Their contact information is going to be at the end of this presentation. I talked about HPD enforcement, and I also want to talk about HPU enforcement. Director Weber is on the call, but we want to know if there's a construction delivery that shouldn't be there and it's scheduled and it's occurring at 4:30 p.m. We were going to have boots on the ground, people in the street, to making sure that number one, that the other projects in the area are being good neighbors, but then also something isn't occurring that we don't have the ability to actively respond to. So we're going to be increasing our enforcement using the parking utility resources. I just wanted like a little sidebar on this right now. Our engineering division, it's not on this side, will not be issuing new construction permits west of Bloomfield and south of 2nd Street for the duration of this closure. So North Hudson just wrapped up its work on just north of the barrier by the firehouse. That project's closing down. We're not going to be having a lot of the crane work that was going on at 38 Jackson is not anticipated to occur. We front loaded a lot of those big deliveries and those big schedules, so there's not going to be as many in-street impacts during this time. We are very, very cognizant of the impacts of not just this, but the other work that's occurring in and around the city and our critical access points. We've plotted our projects. We are working through sequencing. We are monitoring what work has to be done, what work can be pushed to try and reduce the amount of pain associated with the Jersey Ave closure. Next slide, please. So you're going to see signage going up as early as tomorrow to alert people about the closure, multiple locations around and adjacent to the project area. There's going to be fixed signage, detour signage. There's detour routes that are approved, and we've had meetings with Hudson County. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but we're going to have traffic control officers out in the street, moving traffic, making sure that we're not having gridlock at any of those locations in southern Hoboken that have that potential as you narrow down and you have flow through Marin or Grove. Can you go to the next slide, please? And then I want to talk about the communication work that we've done. So there's internal work that we're doing to communicate across municipal boundaries. We've communicated with the city council. We're working to communicate with the public on this issue. The city itself is going to be updating our construction map, which is available on our website. We are pushing out notifications related to construction on a weekly basis. I think many of you probably learned about this through either a Nixle or social media alert. And then one of the other tools that we're going to be using is we have developed the ability to interface with Google, Waze, and Apple directly. And Greg is our transportation planner, has been working to make sure that we can get these closure in those navigation programs so that not just pass through traffic, but truck traffic is not moving through this area. It will be hopefully through conditioning of the closure, we will see relief from the immediacy of the first week or the second week, but we are using all the physical and digital tools we have at our disposal to try and reduce the impacts associated with this closure. Next slide, please. And I don't know, Chris, if you want to take this, I can just recap. So there's a 1 month full closure of Jersey Ave where there's not going to be vehicular circulation. And then 2 months. So the month of April, full closure, the month of May and June, 1 lane southbound. And then the plan is to have the entire circulation network open and restored for the July 4th weekend, where we anticipate significant traffic. And I think that before we move on to the next slide and going through Q&A, it's not just either administration or Department of Transportation, public safety, and the Office of Emergency Management, including Police Department and Fire Department, have been part of these conversations. We're very focused on public safety as the highest and most important part of having a successful road closure. So that's whether that's communication between Jersey City and Hoboken's fire and the mutual aid, or access for our ambulances, our police cars. We're very focused on maintaining circulation for public service, and they've been part of the conversations and how we've been working through this closure. So I think the last slide, if you want to go to the next one, Chris, is contact information.
That's me. Hello, everyone. My name is Isabella Bracheta, and I'm the Community Construction Liaison for the project. On this slide, you can find a few resources. Here you can find links and QR codes to both our website and to sign up for our weekly advisories that come out every Friday and contain construction updates for the following week. So that's how you can stay informed with us. Within our website, you can find past presentations, our FAQs, monthly video updates, and many resources in both English and Spanish. If you have any questions and concerns or any need of more information in English or any other languages and cannot find it, here you can definitely email us or leave us a message or voicemail. Here you can find our project email and a construction hotline, as well as Caleb's contact information. So now we will be going through some of the questions that we have on the Q&A. If you have not sent any questions, please go ahead. Please know that today we're only going to be answering questions that relate to tonight's topic, which is the Jersey Avenue closure. If we do not get to your question tonight, make sure you email it to us. As you know, here is our email, and we'll make sure you get your response. Similarly, if you have questions related to other aspects of the project that are not in relation to the Jersey Avenue closure, please send them to us and we'll make sure you get all the information you need.
So one of the questions I've already gotten from Councilman Ramos and Councilwoman Jabor is, are we going to be posting this presentation? And I think the answer to that is yes, we're recording it, and yes, we're going to be posting it. Frank, Chris, is that we're going to have it on DEP's website, and we can also post it on the City of Hoboken website. If you guys want to send us a copy, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to go up on our website. It'll
Okay.
probably be there tomorrow.
Great.
Yes, that's our first question for the night. Yeah, we will be adding it to our website, as they said. So the next question is, how involved are Weehawken, Jersey City, Union City, and the neighborhood towns in terms of traffic impacts? So this will be answered by Greg at the Hoboken team.
Hey everyone. I will just say that we've been working very closely with, as Caleb mentioned, with Jersey City. We've also been working very closely with Hudson County, who has control over many of the roads that connect Hoboken with Jersey City, Union City, and Weehawken. So as part of that, we've been looking at how the network is affected both in Hoboken, Jersey City, and our neighboring towns as well.
Awesome. So our next question is, will the police be present to support traffic interruptions on a daily basis? I know we talked a little bit about that, but if Greg, if you want to take it away again.
Sure, I'll just repeat what Caleb said during the presentation. We'll have Hoboken Police and Jersey City Police at major intersections in the area that's going to be impacted by the closures to help move traffic and get pedestrians, across the street.
Thank you. Then we are gonna go with this other question. They thank us for the information. They're thrilled to hear that we're working with Jersey City. They they couldn't understand why JC allowed parking and bike lane on Grove and Marin where they intersect with Jersey Avenue, and have brought up this before. So she has 3 questions within this question. The first one is, will these changes remain after the construction?
I think that depends on the feedback that we get through the Maya Vision cameras, as well as whether or not Jersey City is willing to entertain that concept. I think that some of the parking is in Jersey City. I don't know if as much of the parking on Grove is in Hoboken. I know I spoke to Councilman Ramos earlier and he was like, if it works, let's keep it. And I think that DEP to some degree is agnostic on the permanency of the changes. I think that's a little bit more of a Hoboken and Jersey City planning question. But if it works, there's no reason we can't try a pilot. So that's question 1. What are the next 2?
Yeah, the next 2. Number 2, will all these roads, Jersey Avenue, Grove, Marion, be repaved after the construction?
Yeah, this is Frank Schwartz. I'm with the DEP team. I'm the project team manager. The answer to that is the areas that we'll be working in, which will be between 18th Street and Jersey City and Hoboken. Those areas will be repaved after construction. We'll do restoration of the sidewalks as well to return it to where it was previous, but obviously in better condition than it was when we left it.
And the third one is, I live near the NW Park and absolutely have construction burnout. Will the uptown construction be completed before this construction starts? Maybe this is.
I'd love to be able to say yes to that.
Why don't you send me that question via email and I will provide a schedule update to the individual, because it is a lot of work. North Hudson's up there doing work on raising Madison Street and finishing the pump station and doing a force main. So we are getting a lot of that feedback about burnout. We understand.
Perfect. 1 second. Okay, so the next one, is there efforts to have shared communications to neighboring towns?
So we did coordinate VMS board's language, as well as have talked to Jersey City about when we intend to communicate about this and provide press releases and information. And to some degree, it's a courtesy, and we don't dictate to Jersey City their public messaging about this no more than they dictate to our Hoboken's public messaging. But we are trying to coordinate and align our statements about the projects, because we are working in partnership to advance the initiative. The majority of this work is actually occurring in Jersey City, but the impacts are adjacent to Hoboken very acutely. So yes, to the best of our capacity.
Thank you. Next one. So how was the sequence of construction phases determined to minimize impact on residents and businesses?
the sequence of construction in this particular area with test pitting and then the initial subsurface work that we're doing for the resist structure. The reason this was selected first was we have some additional work that needs to be done on the water system down in this area. This is where one of the water mains broke 3 weeks ago. I think everybody lived through that. This test pitting is going to inform future work. We need to know what's under the ground there. We need to know what condition it's in. So that's how we sequenced this. And what we find out from that test pitting is going to inform the future, the next phase, give us a better idea of exactly what it is we're going to need to do. That's why we chose to do what we're doing now. And it'll also allow us additional time to try and, minimize the impacts even more, like Caleb said, with the traffic and the efforts that Hoboken's doing right now on that.
I think that part of what isn't always seen when we have these conversations where we're 2 weeks out from doing a closure is that the DEP had requested to do this work 2.5 months ago. And the timeline for this project is 12 years long, but I don't think that even last summer in their scheduling, they could have anticipated the path being closed for an entire month. And so when we learned about the path closure, DEP modified their schedule so that Jersey Ave was not closed at the same time as the work that was going on with the path system. And so also within their sequencing, there's certain work that they haven't done in and around these different design zones, not just Jersey Ave specifically, but North Hudson had a sewer class. We pushed work that might have been able to be done because of that. There's actually PSE&G work that needed to be done in the same area. So while the work is scheduled for where the work is, DEP is still being responsive to the fact that we have a living city with aging infrastructure and trying to accommodate the needs of those infrastructure systems with this new piece of infrastructure that we're building.
Thank you. Someone here would like to get a reminder about the dates of the closure.
Yeah, the closure will start on March 31st. I believe that's the Monday. And it is currently scheduled to go until just before the 4th of July holiday. It'll be shut down at that point in time. And so full traffic could be restored in that location.
And we've been, if any of you tracked the work that occurred on 15th Street, we gave, and I don't want to say we gave, we very strongly communicated to the DEP that they needed to complete the work on 15th Street before the path closure. That work did continue past their original date, but we said you have to be pencils down. And our July 4th date on this scope of work in this area is really a pencils down for public safety purposes. So it will be what they can complete in that duration of time. And then we have to be done. I think that both is from community expectation standpoint, as well as like a real on the ground circulation standpoint.
Thank you. Someone here is asking me if they will be able to make a left turn towards the Holland Tunnel from Marion Boulevard and Grove Street. They think it's prohibited right now.
Steve, I saw you take yourself off mute. You got this.
So we had not looked at that, but I just took a look at the network just while we were in this meeting, and left turns are permitted from both Marin Boulevard and Grove Street going towards the Holland Tunnel.
Thank you.
I mean, I wanted to make one more note about the duration of construction activities. So March 31st to July 4th is when there will be work on Jersey Ave, but on or around April 30th, we're working towards having 1 lane southbound open coming out of the city of Hoboken as part of that work that's occurring in Jersey Ave.
Thank you. Next one, will there be any interim pavement patching on Grove, Jersey, or Marion? Traffic is currently swerving to avoid potholes, and they're concerned that this project will delay repaving.
It's like we when we're working in Jersey Avenue, obviously it'll be closed at the beginning. We will put it into a state where, so there will be patching that's done at that location when we go to open it and, 4th of July.
I take that question a little differently. The city does have patching crews out there, and I will go back and talk with our DPW to see if we need to go out and do patchwork. We have been going out and doing patchwork right now. So if there's stuff that needs to happen on Grover Marin, I'm just making a note that we need to do that.
Thank you. A question from Councilman Solomon's office. When will you be alerting the general public about the closures? Will there be any materials that they can be shared? Will the Jersey Avenue closure start? Well, we talked a little bit about the start date already. But
On the city side, we're going to be doing a press release, I think, tomorrow, and as well as putting VMS signs up on Observer Highway. I think Jersey City is also planning to do some signage tomorrow. That will be the earliest public notice. As far as information about the project, there are 2 different QR codes on this screen right here. One of them will take you to the Hoboken construction updates. The other one will take you to DEP's website. Past that, I'm not sure what Jersey City is planning to do for communications on this topic, but I know that they are aware and been working with our communications team to have the best available information.
thank you. Next one. What is exactly being done on or under these streets? Are there any plans or drawings that can be shared with the public?
Depending on location. Some of the work in Jersey, it's like some of the work being done under the streets here in Jersey Avenue include some of the water main repair work that's necessary. There's some sewer line replacement that's going to be done, and then we'll be driving piles so that we can support a structure that we're going to construct. That structure will be in that area approximately 8 to 10 feet tall. A foundation will be put on those piles, and all the utilities that are in there will be protected. If they have to go through our structure, they will be sleeved so that they're accessible if something were to happen to them or need to be replaced later. Plans, drawings, we obviously have plans. There are about 1,200 sheets of those plans. If you're looking to get some specific information, if you could reach out to our website and send us an email, and if there's something specific you're looking for, we would be happy to share it with you.
Will there be more attention towards bicycle safety?
This might be a good question for Greg or Steve. I know that we're trying to maintain the circulation network to the greatest extent possible. There are detours planned on Observer Highway. And I think that we are trying to maintain the cycle lane on Marin through the duration of this closure. Greg or Steve, I don't know if you have any other specifics related to pedestrian and cyclist safety.
Yeah, Caleb, I had a tough time hearing the end of what you said, but there will be police officers that will help at the major crossings especially for pedestrians and cyclists that need to navigate the area. But we'll be maintaining bicycle circulation, the protected bike lane on Marin Boulevard. But that's about as much as we'll be doing specifically related to cycling.
Thank you. The overflow traffic impacts extend towards the Lincoln Tunnel. Will there be police present at those high traffic intersections near the bridges, the Hoboken bridges?
I do not believe that's part of our traffic control plan right now. I think that if we get into the closure and we start to see circumstances where we have level of service failures in the north end, I know that we are going to have our Office of Emergency Management on the street and our police command on the street, and we have done, we've done other street closures daily and on demand traffic control if needed. So we're not anticipating that right now, but if that's the circumstance, then we can definitely be responsive to that, at least on the Hoboken side.
Thank you. This comment says, I have been following this project since the beginning and believe that it's a model of effective planning for other projects. What are the mitigation plans if the 1 month closure becomes longer, 5 to 6 weeks?
Obviously, the goal is to complete that work in 4 weeks and get this lane open. As Chris Corliss in the presentation explained, there will be times where the construction team will be working extra shifts, longer hours, and part of that will be to make sure that this happens. So we don't have any intention of it occurring in 5 to 6 weeks. Yes, something could happen that might cause that, but at this point in time, we don't see that as being a problem.
Yeah. I have an uptime question. So if you have questions about the work happening uptime, please email it to us. Since tonight we'll just be reviewing Jersey Avenue closure questions. The construction fatigue and related commuting issues are deeply felt. Will Stevens receive information on traffic impact updates? Will Weehawken and other neighboring townships as well?
Will we communicate with Stevens about the traffic impacts? Is that the question?
Yeah.
We can. Yeah, we meet with them and their facilities team pretty often. I'm happy to share all the resources we have with Stevens. And Frank, I think the second part is that DEP communicates with Weehawken and Jersey City regularly, and the same information that I'm privileged to as part of this project, those municipalities are as well.
That's correct.
Thanks for this update. It's critical that we protect our community against the storm surge that paralyzed our community after Superstorm Sandy. Thanks to the DP for helping us complete a rebuild by design. This is from Councilman Phil Cohen. Thank you. Question: if a sinkhole gas leak or underground utility issue is discovered during construction, will this trigger additional road closures?
If it were to happen in Jersey Avenue, no, that break would occur in Jersey Avenue. So, and I know that there's additional questions about what if there is something that does occur. And I'll just answer both of those questions together. The contractor is required to be very careful in an excavation. Yes, something can happen. Obviously, nobody plans for that to happen, but if something were to occur, one of the subcontractors who's on standby for them is J. Fletcher Kramer, who does a lot of the utility work in the area for both Hoboken and for Jersey City. So we feel that we have the right people available to solve any of these problems. We also communicate on a very regular basis with the utilities themselves, JCMUA, North Hudson Sewerage Authority, PSE&G, Verizon. So if something were to occur, we do have the connections to be able to make remedy as quickly as possible.
Thank you. The following question, it's about the same. So I'm gonna skip that. If by any chance you feel like you had you wanted a deeper answer or something like that, or further information, don't forget to email us. Another question: are drone or satellite monitoring technologies being used to track this construction progress in real time?
We are using drone photography on approximately a quarterly basis. We come through and do a flyover of the entire project quarterly. We are not doing it in real time, so quarterly right now.
That's the purpose of the MyoVision cameras, is to get that real-time monitoring, and then push that data through Flow Labs. So that is something that we are going to use at a handful of intersections in Hoboken and Jersey City. So
Is there any reason why it can be pushed back a month, go through July and August, so the summer is usually lighter traffic?
Looked at a lot of these things, pushing it back a month. It's entirely possible, depending on what we encounter, that we may need to come back in July and August as well. But as I said, until we finish the test bidding, we don't know that for sure. So Caleb, I would say that we talked extensively about when we were going to get this started.
I think that the answer to that is we've already pushed it 3 months because of the path work and what DEP's communicated to us, and because it's their contract and their contractor, but every day we lose is money and every day we lose is productivity. And we're trying to build a flood protection measure both on budget and in the shortest amount of time possible to protect Hoboken and its assets. So if I think that the feedback we've gotten from the community is, everyone wants everywhere in the project to be built during July and August, and we have to find times to build throughout the entire year. And it's been challenging, to say the least, for all the different project areas.
Thank you. I wanna discuss this question here, if that's okay. What accommodations are being made for disabled individuals or seniors who may struggle with detour changes?
I don't have a good answer for that. I guess the most direct thing is that the signage is all being done according to MUTCD standards, which is an acronym that is basically like a federal standard for traffic engineering. We're not going to be implementing practices that are not consistent with the design standards that Hoboken has, which is inclusive for ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. But specifically focused on those communities, I would say the same thing that Greg said before, is that we'll have officers out in the street for those unique situations if it's a pedestrian or cyclist that needs additional support crossing an intersection.
Thank you. Will the city be repainting the train trestle during this closure for the Hoboken sign?
I saw that Councilwoman Fisher just joined us, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that that's not her question. But I think it's possible. I think that we have art funds that we could use. I think that we had brought a proposal previously about doing that, but as part of this closure, she just texted me. She says it is my question. So it's possible. We would have to bring it back to the city council. I'm sure we could find a way to coordinate doing that. So
Perfect. Has a cost benefit analysis been done comparing full closure versus the partial closure to determine the least disruptive option?
No official cost benefit analysis has been done, but in speaking with the contractor, he has informed us that partial closures versus a full closure will cause him to work more slowly, which in turn costs more money. And so it's like, while there was no official cost benefit analysis, it's more expensive to do a partial closure versus a full closure.
and that's part of the push and pull that we're getting with the council representing their concerns and then the community representing their concerns. And I think that is a concession that DEP was made, that, circulation is important while we still prosecute the scope of work. And so Frank and his team made that accommodation to try and support at least an improvement of conditions while things will be challenging in Southwest.
So we have 2 minutes left, so I'm not sure if Caleb or Frank, you want
I
to
just,
select?
I just want to close by saying, extending my appreciation to uh, Frank, you and your entire team that's on the call, and Chris for opening, and Kim for walking us through the project. I think that we can be challenging. The community can be hard on the project at times, and I think that I, on behalf of our administration, I just want to say thank you for coming to the table, for working through this, through making yourselves available, and supporting Hoboken and its resiliency endeavors. So I appreciate it.
And as we said during the presentation, Caleb, once we have some additional information about the next steps beyond what we're doing at this point, it is our intention to again come back and provide more information to.
Right.
So,
Great.
And thank you for everyone who's still on the call that hung tough. I know that we have Councilman Ramos, Cohen, Jabor, Presenzano, and Fisher listening. So they're very much representing your concerns and frustrations. And I just appreciate the community coming out to listen through the different issues that we're working through. So thanks,
And
everyone.
thank you all. I do want to reiterate, this is not the last time you're going to hear from us. We will be back to provide more information. So this is just the investigative phase, and we appreciate everything that the city has done to help, you know, with trying to make this a more palatable project. So we appreciate all the work, and the council. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
Appreciate it.